Coming to you from the Hudson Media Group studio, this is Talking Politics, and I am the professor, Fernando Uribe. Happy Halloween to you all. There's a lot to discuss, so let's get started. Here's what I'm thinking about right now. Yes, folks, it is Halloween season, and of course, it's always that frightening time of year for all of us to go enjoy the holiday. And even during COVID, I hope you all have a very happy and safe Halloween. So it sort of got me thinking about things that are frightening because it is the Halloween season. For many of us here in Hudson County, we grew up, of course, watching, for example, David Letterman. And while I could care less about David's politics, I really loved his top 10 lists, which he did on a nightly basis. So it got me thinking about, since it is Halloween, let's look at something scary and the top 10 things that frighten liberals. Number 10, so we'll start off with prayer. And yes, folks, of course, doing anything in the public square is something that liberals and progressives, as well as social justice clowns and woke fools, have a considerable problem with. Now, of course, as we all know, it's always open season in Christianity and Catholics for whatever reason. So whether it's the display of the Ten Commandments in front of Town Hall, or even the nativity scene during the Christmas season. Yes, folks, it's the Christmas season, not happy holidays or whatever else. You know what? For some reason, liberals and progressives seem to have a considerable problem with that. But, whenever it comes to Islam or anything like that, no, hands off Islam. But when it comes to Christians and Catholicism, yes, prayer out in the public arena seems to really not sit well with them. Number 9, of course, is hard work. Yes, as we're all aware, ladies and gentlemen, many Democrats and many liberals and progressives would prefer that you, rely on government for your day-to-day activities, whether it's the idea of a universal basic income or a lot of the other subsidies that state and federal governments provide respectively. Many of them would prefer you be dependent on the state and not, develop a work ethic, that sort of idea of, work hard, own property or anything else. And that seems to be something that many liberals, I think, today really aren't in agreement with. And it really scares the hell out of them. For example, number 8 is, yes, capitalism. One of the things that really makes me laugh as not just an academic, but as a journalist is when I talk to many colleagues who seem to be, people who revere socialism. And I always think to myself, well, as the son of a Cuban mother, I always remind them, I'm like, well, if you don't like it here, you can always go overseas, whether it be to a socialist or communist country, and see how much you like it there. Whether it's the inability to own private property, whether it's the ability to earn a wage based on your credentials, or even just having basic freedoms and liberties like you enjoy here. Yes, the idea of the free market, and of course, private enterprise having no regulation to adhere to by the government is something that, many liberals and progressives seem to be opposed to. Yes, they love capitalism when it comes to protesting about evil corporations while they're sitting in a Starbucks, right, typing away on their tablet or their Mac, or looking at their Apple Watch or their iPhone. Yes, there's nothing like a virtuous, hypocritical liberal or progressive that denounces big corporations but enjoys all the entities that capitalism provides. Of course, number 7, gun rights. Yes, liberals and progressives will tell you all that you don't need a gun. You know what? The Second Amendment is outdated. But you know what's funny? It's those liberal politicians that always tell you, hey, you know what? You don't need the Second Amendment, or you know what? You don't need a handgun. It's those same people that walk around with armed security 24 hours a day, whether it be Governor Phil Murphy or many liberals and Democrats in both the House of Representatives and the United States Senate. Yes, they don't want you to have a gun, but trust me, when it comes to their protection, there are guns all around them each and every day. So again, folks, it's that sort of like hypocrisy that kind of doesn't sit well with me when it comes to the left in this country. And of course, we go up to number 6, and that's patriotism. Yes, folks, the idea that, oh my God, loving your country is something you should want to do. And just because you can burn the flag doesn't mean you should. We all know that it is protected speech by the United States Supreme Court, but it doesn't mean it's something that you should be doing anyway. Yes, you can openly, disagree and engage in some sort of like reasonable and peaceful dissent. But the burning of the flag, I don't know about you, that's just something you shouldn't do. And God forbid, you display an American flag on your front porch or on your car. You ever wonder, whether it's election season or even all year round, you ever wonder whoever has American flags on their porches? Sure as hell isn't Democrats, and sure as hell aren't liberals and progressives. That's for sure. Number 5, of course, is free speech. Because remember, folks, when it comes to liberals and progressives, they're all about tolerance. They're all about inclusivity. No, they're all about tolerance when it's what they want to hear. But when it's a different opinion or anything else, guess what? They want to silence you, whether it's the pervasive cancel culture today or even, just trying to silence you altogether. Yes, folks, it's that free speech that they believe in, but only for themselves. Don't be fooled by it. We see it all the time. We're even seeing it today with big tech companies and even the liberal media trying to silence even any conservative voice. Is that your idea of free speech? I don't know about you, but that sure as hell isn't my definition of free speech. Of course, number 4 is the President of the United States. Yes, folks, it is election season. We're less than a week away from the ultimate showdown between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And while, over 60 million Americans have already voted, we either vote by mail or early voting procedures in many states, you know what? That's almost about half of the amount of people that voted from 2016. We'll find out what happens next week, but certainly the thought of President Donald Trump having a second term is something that absolutely scares liberals to no end. The idea of a good economy before COVID, the idea of nominating good centrist Supreme Court justices and filling all the vacancies on the federal courts with good constructionist judges, not those liberal activists that we always like to hear about when it comes to the judicial branch. And of course, if he wins a second term, wait for the meltdowns, folks. If you thought the tantrums and the crying was entertaining in 2016, it'll be even better once he wins a second term. Number 3, of course, the American flag. And yes, folks, nothing screams contempt and apathy for many liberals and many progressives as the idea of the American flag. As I said before, you ever wonder when you look at someone's porch, you can tell who's a conservative, you can tell who's a liberal. The easiest way to do that is when you see an American flag, trust me, it's certainly not a liberal living at that residence. Number 2, of course, is common sense. Folks, whether it's about identity politics, which is being shoved down our throats every day, the idea that, well, if you don't believe in something, well, you're either a blankist or a blank phobe. Fill in the blank there. If you don't believe in everything that's fixated on race or gender or everything else, hey, there goes the name calling and out comes the vitriol. We see it all the time, folks, but it's just basic common sense that they seem to be immune to. Whether it's about identity politics, whether it's about this obsession with political correctness, whether it's this sort of stupidity that they have with social engineering. The idea, for example, let's say as a Hispanic male, that there's such a term as Latinx. No, folks, there isn't. There's Latino and Latina, and spoiler alert, that's 2 genders. But for many liberals, again, they enjoy this idea of inclusivity, the idea of somehow believing in social engineering or believing in science. They believe in science when it's convenient. When it comes to climate hysteria, yes, they're all about throwing science in your face. But when it comes to gender and biology, does it seem like most liberals failed high school biology? I wasn't the best student in high school, but I'll tell you one thing, I passed high school biology with an A, and it has served me well to this very day. And of course, number 1, shocker, the Constitution. Yes, folks, our most glorious legal document next to the Magna Carta. And certainly many liberals will tell you, we need to do away with it. It was written at a time when black people couldn't vote and women couldn't vote and all this and that. Well, that's been addressed through amendments in well over 200 years. So stop your bitching and moaning because it's still the most damn durable document in the history of mankind. It has served us well, and it's been the blueprint for many democracies that have followed since the creation of ours back in 1776. I don't know about you folks, but this is a top 10 list that, frightens liberals, not just during Halloween season, but every day of the year. And I don't know about you, it's what makes them insufferable and just downright exhausting to deal with on a daily basis. And that's what I'm thinking about right now. In this week's edition of the 4-time award-winning podcast, Talking the Hudson, which you can listen to live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. by going to www.blogtalkradio.com/Talking the Hudson, was the distinguished chairwoman of the Hudson County Democratic Organization in her regularly scheduled monthly appearance, and it is Amy DeGise. We spoke for over an hour on a multitude of different topics along local, state, and even national headlines. And here's some highlights for your consideration. First and foremost, we talked about some of the concerns that local residents have been expressing about their ballots being mailed in and somehow not being able to track it when their votes, again, have already been cast. Let's check out what she had to say about it.
And Amy, let me ask you real quick, because let's start off with this. Not sure if you've heard the same things I have, but I've got a lot of people reaching out to me. I know that there's a website out there that can help us find out if our ballots have been received. It's about signing up and creating a profile on the Hudson County Board of Elections page. Amy, I don't know if you've heard the same things I have, but I've got a lot of people saying to me, hey, Fernando, you seem to be in the know of everything. Why is it when I fill out this website, I can't confirm or verify that my ballot was received? I'm a little worried here. What should I do? And I'll be honest with you, Amy, I really don't know what to tell them. So I don't know if you've heard those same complaints or concerns.
Yeah, and there was a huge dilemma with people getting phone calls over the weekend and earlier this week saying your ballot was not accepted and people freaking out. And at first I thought it was a scam call because I knew that our county clerk would not do that over the phone, that they were sending out everything through the mail. but it turns out that the state party had some sort of error. They were trying to run through the, who submitted a ballot through their system early. The Hudson County ballots started to get scanned in and accepted on Saturday. So because they did it a day early. And people were saying the same thing. Why am I registering? What does this mean? I had a few voters that were upset that once they registered, they got to see their voting history. And they're like, how do people get to see this online? But that's, I guess, the voter technology of today. So hopefully we're, thank goodness for the county clerk, Junior Maldonado. He has extended hours all this week, and they'll be there Saturday and Sunday. Because there are so many requests right now. They needed extra people to man their phone lines for all of the phone calls, and they've had people coming into the office addressing, a lost ballot or a ballot that needed to be cured. I think that's the term that they're using. If it's a curable ballot, that means that you made an error, but you have time to fix it. Maybe you just signed it in the wrong place, you didn't seal it correctly. So a lot of people, we're getting a lot of calls on what does accepted versus received mean. Is received okay? Is it not accepted? So the county clerk has been answering all of those questions. Accepted is good. That means that they scanned in the first portion, which is the larger envelope, meaning your vote, and then just that they didn't open up your vote yet. And I think everyone is kind of waiting to closer to Election Day we don't give an impression of who's taking the lead, even in a place like Hudson County, where you would expect the Democrats to fare better. This is all just to kind of stay out of court the day after Election Day and to ensure that we did everything correctly leading up to it. But if you do have any questions, the county clerk has extended hours all of this week. I believe they're there to 8 o'clock every day until Friday. Saturday and Sunday they have hours as well. They're posted on our website and on our social media. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I believe Saturday and Sunday they're there 8 to 2 and 8 to 4. So if you do have any questions, they'll answer the phone or they'll visit, and they can better explain, and then they can actually see on their end what your ballot status is, and they can explain the accepted and the received portion. And then people saying, hey, I mailed it in the first week I got it, and it doesn't say accepted. The county just started scanning in those larger envelopes over the weekend. So they're getting approximately 3,000 ballots a day.
Wow.
And they have to be really, it is a production. I mean, they're like stationed out of like almost a warehouse. They're socially distancing. They have larger pieces of technology that are scanning in things. Then you have the human, eye looking at it to make sure that the machines are accurate and correct. And you have a ton of security, and you have tons of trucks coming in and, taking the ballots from the ballot boxes or the USPS. It's a huge operation, and it's, again, very new. We talked about this during primary season. It's a very new thing for our culture here in Hudson County, so everyone's kind of getting adjusted. The county clerk also has to work with the Board of Elections and their, all of their requirements, and then the State Board of Elections as well. So they're scanning them in. If yours has not been accepted yet, you may want to call just to double check, but give it till, let's say, Friday. They may have just not gotten to it just yet.
Secondly, we talked about a story that doesn't seem to be dying anytime soon, and that's whether or not she'll be included in Jersey City Mayor Stephen Phillips' ticket coming up in 2021. As he seeks re-election, he already has a slate of candidates already on the council ticket itself. But as we all know, the rumors continue to run rampant about whether or not the chairwoman will be joining his ticket and perhaps, maybe, sitting this one out. Let's see what she had to say about this ongoing rumor.
Amy, to some local things
Absolutely.
here. I know we talked about it last month when you were on, and obviously, this Tuesday, Election Day, we're going to see what happens. We'll cover that a little bit later in the show real quick. But it seems that in Jersey City, a lot of the chatter for 2021 still hovers around whether or not Stephen Phillips is going to have an opponent, which it seems like there's rumors circulating that he's going to have one, and more so about who's going to be on his ticket. I know we talked about it last month. Your name was in the news cycle. Everyone seemed to think, the mayor is smart reaching out to Amy to have him on his council ticket as an at-large candidate. But it seems like you and the mayor haven't spoken. So there seems to be, again, as an educator, you'll appreciate this reference. To quote the great William Shakespeare, seems to be much ado about nothing.
I agree. And I have to tell you, the nighttime events are popping up a little bit, and I'm seeing people that I haven't seen in a while, and they're going, hey, congratulations. I heard about the council. I'm going, okay, I still have not, So I do too. And, the mayor of Jersey has, a special ward election as well. It's not typical to have special elections for council seats, so I think a lot of his resources and attention have gone to that. And, really just trying to, the Heights community is changing, so I think everyone's trying to get a handle on where is that change coming from and where is it going, that he may not be thinking, I don't want to say long-term because it is 2020, it will be in 2021, I should say, but he may want to get through one before moving on to the other. I think that there are a lot of popular, important, there are people who have more name recognition than others. So I think it is common for my name to be brought up. I was told I heard you're running for mayor, I heard you're running for, for assembly and this. So I think the Jersey City rumor mill gets ahead of itself a little bit. I don't know if people just like to stir the pot or, we're just all into our local politics. But yeah, I would agree. It's much ado about nothing. Right now, my primary focus is the HCDO, getting through this election alive, and just kind of maybe taking a nap when it's done. But, I would love to represent my community in any way I can, elected or not elected. But still, much ado about nothing. No questions have been asked yet.
Okay, so, listen, I don't like to put you on the spot because you and I always have good conversations and we can always have a healthy back and forth. So right now, today, a few days from Halloween, there's nothing new to report, correct, when it comes to this decision? Okay.
Nothing new to report. Nothing new at all.
You're not leaning one way or the other, or you don't want to tell me yet?
No, I will not make the mistake of thinking about something and making a decision in my head before it's even posed to me. Every opportunity that I've taken, whether it was like running for my union vice presidency, board of ed, and even the chair of the HCDO, just kind of my gut told me do it, or don't do it. There have been opportunities I said, it's not for me. And people say, you're crazy. I said, no, it's not for me. And I've never regretted an opportunity that I took, and I never regretted an opportunity that I haven't taken. So I don't want to break that kind of system right there. It's worked well for me. It's a really kind of somewhat contentious environment and where things can change day to day. So I don't want to, say, hey, I would love to do that, and then, the opportunity never comes, or say, like, no, over my dead body would I do it, and then, I get asked and then I make a jerk out of myself. So, I think some things should be laid out on the table. I think we both would have to see, or anyone that would be interested in running with me or, having me run with them, what are the mutual goals here? Because I think that, the mayor and I, we have a nice professional relationship. We obviously have a history that people would bring up. But I think we would have to hash some of that conversation out and make sure that we're on the same page for our goals for Jersey City. I've always said, I'm a broken record that, this is my home. I'm raising my family here. My kids are going to school here. I hope their kids go to school here. So every decision I make not only should help and benefit myself, but I hope that it benefits my community as well.
As always, it's a very illuminating and informative episode with the chairwoman of the Hudson County Democratic Organization. You can listen to the episode in its entirety by going to www.blogtalkradio.com/Talking to Hudson. You can listen to the episode from any PC, Mac, smartphone, or tablet anywhere at any time. These are exclusives that you won't hear anywhere else in Hudson County, and I'll continue to bring them to you in 2020, also into 2021. And I have some local stories for your consideration. Let's start off in Jersey City, where Mayor Stephen Fulop has indicated he won't be bringing back bar curfews just yet, but of course, he makes it very clear about where the policy stands. Now, a shout out to John Hines from the Hudson County View for his report on this story. Now, Mayor Fulop has indicated that he won't be bringing back curfews just yet, explaining that, quote, it isn't as if you can't get COVID-19 at nighttime. Now, in March, Jersey City was among the first in the country, even first in the state, to put restrictions and curfews into effect. That's a fact. We aren't going to do that again so quickly. When we did it in March, there was a lot less info about the virus, how it's transmitted, risk treatments, etc. And so we acted quickly, according to a tweet that the mayor sent out earlier this week. He also wanted to say, quote, "We have more info today, and I don't see how a quick curfew because of a spike will help, as it, you can't get COVID at night. You can certainly get it at a shopping center, a supermarket, a restaurant, or even during lunchtime." Now, you continue that enforcing a 25% indoor capacity, as ordered by Governor Phil Murphy via executive order, is of course sticking to a regional approach, taking contact tracing seriously, monitoring any sort of recent hospitalizations, along with pushing more public awareness. Will help keep mental and economic health top priorities as well. In nearby neighboring Hoboken, Mayor Ravi Bala also announced an alert this past week that bars and restaurants would have a midnight curfew, effective this week via an executive order. Now, earlier during the day, Newark officials, via Mayor Ross Baraka, said that they would be enforcing an 8 p.m. curfew for non-essential businesses, while nearby Patterson would be following Hoboken's lead this week by indicating that they will also take the same approach with their bars and restaurants going forward. Now, I don't know how many people want to go to Patterson for restaurants and bars, but that's beyond me. But if that's your choice, hey, God bless you, and please be careful. Of course, additionally, the Hoboken City Council is slated to vote on an ordinance that will allow up to $1,000 fines for house parties that exceed 25 people at a special meeting coming up during the council session. Now, back in March, as you'll remember, as the coronavirus had just begun having an impact on the Garden State, Jersey City was the first to implement a 10 p.m. curfew for bars and clubs, while Hoboken was the first to relegate restaurants to take-out-only service and to close bars altogether. In a lengthy statement this week, Hoboken spokesman Vijay Charduri noted that recent COVID-19 cases are linked to some local bars and restaurants, which prompted the recent, quote, proactive decision to enact a bar and restaurant curfew. Now, folks, I don't know about you, but listen, I applaud Mayor Fulop, Mayor Ravi Bala, and the other mayors as well of the neighboring cities for being proactive here. As Mayor Fulop has said, it's not like you can't catch COVID during the day. You can certainly catch it at any time of the day. So it's important to be proactive and to be vigilant here during a time when quite possibly we're seeing cases spiking once again throughout New Jersey, and more specifically here in Hudson County. And finally, here's another local story that should concern us all, especially when it comes to hospital care and our loved ones. And again, a shout out goes out to the family of Estefania Mesa Venegas, who is going through an absolutely horrible time recently as a result of what many construe to be negligence by the staff at the Hoboken University Medical Center in the Mile Square City. Now, on Sunday night, July the 19th of this year, Estefania went into the hospital because she started feeling contractions. Soon after, what should have been the best moment of her life quickly turned for the worst. She went in for an emergency C-section that week, and for unclear reasons, she went into cardiac arrest. The lack of oxygen to her brain for over 9 minutes has now placed her in a coma. The doctors believe that she may indeed have suffered brain damage, and unfortunately, it could be permanent. Now, unfortunately, Estefania does not have health insurance, and many of these bills continue to be astronomical. The goal by a recent GoFundMe that's been established is to raise enough funds to transfer her to a hospital that has the best neurologist and the team to help Estefania, ultimately in giving her a fighting chance. Currently, she's in a vegetative state because of well over 9 minutes of a lack of oxygen. Now, her baby is thankfully safe and sound, but certainly her family wants answers from the Hoboken Medical Center. So first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, for any of you that, again, are in front of a computer, please go on the GoFundMe page and look up Help for Estefania. That's ESTEFANIA, Help for Estefania. She's a local North Hudson resident who, again, and her family's demanding answers. And I don't know about you, but this is a story I'll continue to cover in the weeks and months ahead. But without question, something went wrong here on the day that should have been the happiest day of her life for her, her husband, and her entire family with the birth of her child. Now, to the best of my knowledge, her daughter is in good health, but unfortunately, Estefania has not yet recovered. As we all know, folks, even a couple of minutes of lack of oxygen for our brain can be catastrophic. You can only imagine the effect that 9 minutes had. Fortunately, the hospital won't be talking about what's been going on. Now, certainly there is some legal action on the horizon as to what went on that fateful day, and we all know that many, via social media, are trying to raise awareness for Estefania's cause. As I said before, folks, if you can donate anything online, please consider doing so. The hospital bills have been absolutely just suffocating for her family. And of course, on behalf of this program and myself, again, Estefania, we love you and we hope that you make a speedy recovery. You know what? I believe in miracles, and I believe that you'll be awake one day even holding your child once again. We should never give up hope, but right now it looks really dire for her family. And every little bit helps when it comes to these astronomical hospital bills, once again, by the Hoboken University Medical Center. They have a lot to answer for, ladies and gentlemen, because again, no one's talking over there. No one's talking why she was left without oxygen for so long. No one's talking about what ultimately happened on that day that she gave birth. Her husband wants answers. Her mom, who is now facing deportation, wants answers. The entire community here in Hudson County wants answers. And you know what? Hopefully, her beautiful baby girl, Emma, can one day see her mom. And you know what? It's something we should all strive for. We want answers. When we take our loved ones to local hospitals, whether it be Palisades General in North Bergen, the Hoboken University Medical Center, or other hospitals throughout Hudson County, or even throughout New Jersey, we expect the best care, and more importantly, responsible care. It seems to be that wasn't the case here in Hoboken. Now, I don't want to jump to conclusions, and I always believe in the presumption of innocence. But in this story, there's a lot that has not been disclosed yet, and more importantly, there's a lot, as I said before, that the Hoboken University Medical Center has to answer for. Her family deserves justice. Estefania, we're praying for you. We're trying to get justice for you each and every day, whether or not it's donating via the GoFundMe or trying to raise awareness with local media apparatuses. It's important that you know about this story, folks. If you don't believe me, just simply Google Justice for Estefania. It's a popular hashtag online. But all I can say to you is that today, right here on this program, and even on all the other media outlets right here, my prayers go out to Estefania Mesa Venegas and her family, because right now, they need your help now more than ever. And that's our show for this week. To check out all the excellent programming brought to you by the Hudson Media Group, please go to their websites, www.hmgtvshows.com and www.livestream.com/HMGTV. Don't forget to like the Hudson Media Group on Facebook, and of course, follow it on Instagram and Twitter. And once again, live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m., you can listen to the 4-time award-winning podcast, Talking the Hudson, by going to www.blogtalkradio.com/Talking the Hudson. All the episodes are available free of charge. You can listen to the episodes anywhere at any time from any PC, Mac, smartphone, or tablet. We'll continue to be the leader in independent media right here in Hudson County, folks, via the Hudson Media Group and, of course, this program. And never forget, ladies and gentlemen, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, you know it's always talking politics right here with the Hudson Media Group. Have a happy Halloween, folks. Again, wear your masks. Please practice responsible social distancing. If you're taking your kids trick-or-treating, again, please be careful with what they pick up with any candy or any other amenities. And of course, folks, let's enjoy it the best we can despite this pandemic. I'm Fernando Uribe. Thank you so much for watching.
Don't forget to catch Fernando's podcast at blogtalkradio.com/talkonthehudson. New episodes available every Wednesday night at 9 p.m.